Jeff, obviously news broke today about Dior rejoining the program. Can you talk to us a little bit about the decision to reinstate him and the team's reaction to having him back?
It was a process that our athletic director and I talked. We met with him, felt good about where everything is right now, and giving the kid another chance. And you know, a lot of meetings, a lot of time with Dior. Throughout the whole process, we stayed in touch, communicated. It just went through that process and just made the decision that I talked to guys on the team prior to us making that final decision. I talked to a group of guys about where we were and what I was thinking, what I think is best, and wanted to get their thoughts on it, which I really appreciated their thoughts, and made the decision to go in that direction. Dior addressed the team the 26th, that's the first day that we got back, and he's been with us since.
Was the decision for him to redshirt one that you guys made, or was that a decision he made on his own?
It was a decision that I talked to him about, and again, it wasn't my decision, but it's something we talked through and felt like it was the best thing.
What made you feel like that was the best thing?
I just think it's the best thing. I mean, he hasn't played basketball since October 7th, and it's very hard. What was that?
No,
I'm sorry. It was very hard when you haven't played in almost 3 months to come back and to be able to play. There's a process, there's a ramp up, and especially as you get to ACC play, it's very hard. You know, you risk injury when you haven't played and competed, and so we just felt like it was the best thing for him and for us, but mainly for him.
His final plea was entered a few weeks ago by this point. How quick was the process, if you could share any more of those details about getting him back and reinstated and then going forward with that process?
There's a university process that we have to adhere to, and then there was a process where we wanted to meet. When I say we, Heather and I wanted to meet with Dior and to talk to him. We've had contact, but not face-to-face, and obviously as the case was ongoing, we never talked about anything that was going on with the case. That's not my place. It's not our place. Once that was adjudicated, then we met with him, and we wanted to talk. We wanted to just go through and hear from him and see what he's learned and things like that. And then Heather and I met, we talked, we discussed. And then none of that stuff happened until I think the first time we did it was the Monday before we played Syracuse. So whatever that date is, I think that may have been the 19th. I think that was that Monday. Over the break, Dior and I had several conversations just about, you know, his role, about possibly redshirting, about what would be best. My thing is what's best for him. Obviously, I'm always thinking about our program, but you got a young guy that, you know, we're trying to teach. I still think we're in the business of teaching. At least that's why I got into this thing and helping young people. And I feel like he's a kid that we can help, and we're going to try to help him.
Have you seen growth in Dior's maturation from the time that all of this went down up until now?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you go through something like he's been through, yeah, you learn a lot. You learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about people. You learn about who's with you, who's not. You know, you learn a lot. And, you know, he's been through a lot in 18 years. And so we have, and we'll see. But there's still a lot of growth for him.
Seems like it's also a lot for a team that's going through a season trying to grow to also try to be there for someone when they come back from a situation like that. How have you seen your team welcome him back?
They've been good. I mean, they've been good. I mean, they, you know, they want to try to help him. They want to try to teach him. We have some older guys that have been through a lot, that have been through adversity, that have been through different things that can help him. And, you know, so they've been good with him.
Jeff, you said your priority is to help Dior before the team, but how does he help the team?
I didn't say it was before the team.
Well, I mean, you just said.
I didn't say before the team.
Sure.
I said my priority is to help Dior and our team.
Okay.
And our program. That's what I said.
Wow.
So I didn't say before the team.
So I put those words in there, but
Yeah.
what I meant to ask is, how does he help the team in terms of practice? How does he help
Yeah.
the team in terms of giving you a look for your opponents?
Well, he helps us a lot in that area. He's a talented young guy. And so right now we have a really good practice player, a guy that can simulate, some really good guards that we'll play against. And give us a really good look. He's good with the ball, he can shoot it, he can handle it, he has some creativity to him, he's not afraid, and he loves to play basketball, he loves to compete. At the same time, how I know we can help him is we have some older guys teaching them of how to be a really good teammate, teaching them how to work, teaching them the discipline that it takes to be a good player, teaching them how to, be in college and to be around something, to be a part of something. Obviously, we know his journey, and I think a lot of people have judged him because of all the different schools. If that's the case, there are a lot of guys in high schools, as much as these kids transfer and go to different schools. He's not a bad kid at all, but learning how to be a part of something, learning how to trust, that's something that he's got to go through. And that's how I know that we can help him, not just our team, but our university, our athletic department. Those are all areas that we want to do. And again, that's why I got into this, man. I mean, I went through stuff when I was younger, and I had people there for me, whether it was my coaches, my teammates when I was a freshman and coming in and don't know anything, and some of the older guys in the program, some of the former players. I mean, that's what this is about, is trying to help people. And so I want to help him. Obviously, I got to look out for our program too, and I think we can do both.
Jeff, is this the toughest decision you had to make as a head coach?
I don't know. It's been a lot of decisions when you're in this, and I've been in it for a while. There are a lot of tough decisions that you have to make. And so, you make them and you live with them and you hope they work out.
I guess moving forward.
Yeah, we do play Carolina.
Yeah, that's coming, right?
They're not bad.
You guys were the last team to beat them before they went on their run at the end of the regular season. What's different about them now that they've had more time to grow with a lot of those guys?
Well, I think obviously they're really, really talented and they're playing well right now. They hit a bump in the road this year. They had to deal with some injuries. And sometimes when you have great success like they did, how do you handle that success? And they went from a team, when we played them last year, that was maybe at that time like a bubble team. And, they got beaten in the ACC tournament. I think Virginia Tech beat them, and they got in, and then they got hot. And, they make this magical run to get all the way to the championship. They beat Duke twice, which ended the thing at Duke and in the Final Four, and then they're up, I think it was 16 against Kansas. And so when you have success like that, man, sometimes that's the most difficult thing to handle when you haven't been through it. And you can go through a summer and a time where you think it's going to be easy. I think, just looking from afar, I think maybe that's one of the things that happened. Like you get all the hype, you're preseason number one, you're really good, you have everyone back. The environment's different now, like maybe NIL is involved. I don't know anything with their program, so I don't know, but I'm pretty sure, there were some NIL deals and how you deal with that. And then everyone's gunning for you. They've had to deal with that because it's Carolina. When you're at Carolina, Duke, Kentucky, you got to deal with that. But when you have success, it's different. And, they took some lumps this year, but they've eaten that, they've learned from it, and they're playing really, really well right now. They have two elite guards in Davis and Love. They have an elite big guy in Baycott. They have one of the best transfers in Pete Nance. And they have one of the ultimate glue guys and a really good player in Leaky Black. And so they're very, very talented, and they're playing really well right now. I don't see much of a difference from where they are right now to how they were at the end of the year, especially how they've played over the last 4 games. And so we're playing against one of the most talented teams in the country and one of the teams with the most, continuity of guys that have played together.
You mentioned Nance coming to North Carolina from Northwestern. What does he add to this group that it didn't have last season?
I don't know if he adds anything they didn't have, because the guy who replaced Brady Manick was really good.
Yeah.
He's probably a better defender than Manick, as far as shot blocking and things like that. But I think they're very similar. They can stretch the floor. They can put it on the floor a little bit. And they're really good complements to the other guys that they have. So I don't know how much difference it is, but they're both really, really good.
How was Carolina different under you?
Very. It's really fascinating watching them. And I have so much respect for Hubert, because when you take over a job like that after replacing, Coach Williams, it can be really hard to come in and to change. Yeah, especially at a program like that that's so tradition laden. And he's a guy that played there, that played under that. When you watch them, they really do nothing like the old Carolina teams do. Like, you're so used to seeing secondary break. You're so used to the sets every year. I mean, it was like the same stuff that I played against. So like the 90s. And so seeing it's very different. The freedom that the guards have. I mean, I think there was a game this year where Caleb Love took 36 shots. I don't know if there was a Carolina player ever that took that many shots in a game. I mean, and so the freedom that you have, seeing the different style that they're playing. So I have a lot of respect for him, man. I know last year he probably, took some lumps and people were saying things about him, but the fact that he remained steadfast in what he believed in and got those guys to stick together and to go on that run is a testament to him and staff and the guys' belief in what they're doing.
As far as preparing for him, you knew Carolina inside and out since your playing days. Does it make it harder to prepare for a guy that you're not as familiar with, the stuff that he's done? Or was there always a challenge? You may have been a little too comfortable with Carolina previously, and now you have to...
That's a great question. It's interesting because even though you knew what they were going to do, it was still really hard to stop because of who they had, because of the talent and how well they did it, how hard they did it, and the success they had. I mean, there's not a more successful program. There's some that as successful, but there's not a more successful program, and I have so much respect for that program. And so I wouldn't say it makes it easier. It's just different. It's different, like the sets that they run. Now they're still playing fast, and they're still really good offensive rebounding. That's been the staple of their program for a really, really long, since Coach Smith and things like that. But just probably the sets that they're running and some of the things they do defensively is very different. So I wouldn't say it's harder. It's just different.
Saw a video of John working out during the break that you guys had, working on some different things. What have you seen of him? How have you seen him take advantage of the time off away from having to play so much?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a process of him, just trying to get better in every aspect of his life. And we want to be there to support him, to encourage him, to help him, and to be there for him.
Do you have an update on his timetable to return? Is he expected to play against
Not
North
sure.
Carolina?
Not sure. Don't have an update.
One last thing.
Yeah.
How much do you share with these guys your history with Carolina and your love for them?
I don't really share much of my history at all. I mean, that was my time. I try to be in their moment, try to be in their time. I don't.
These guys know, though.
They probably do. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I try to be in their moment, man. I had my time as a player. I loved every second of it. I would give just about anything, not everything, but just about anything to be able to go back and to put on a jersey again and to be in that locker room and to play in a game like this. And I'd love to do that. But I had my time. I want to be in their moment. I want to try to help create moments for them and be a part of their journey. So I don't really talk about my old past. Now, my brother may, but I don't really talk about my stuff that much.
Jeff, what's your definition of a glue guy?
It's a guy, man, that's all about winning, that does the little things that maybe don't show up in a score, in a stat sheet, that can fit with anyone, that can fit with any player, any team, that just makes winning plays nonstop. That's all about winning. It's all about the team. It's kind of like a chameleon. Like he can just go and just fit in all these little things. He can fill any role. If you need him to score, he can score. If you need him to not take a shot and be okay and do all the other things, the rebound, the screen, the knowing the plays, to talking, all of those things, to, hustling, being a guy that takes charge, like whatever it is. And I think that kid is an elite one. I think Leakey's an elite one. I think he's going to be a pro. I think he's going to be an NBA player. I really and truly do, because of his size, his athleticism, and his ability to do all those different things. If you look at the league now, a guy that's like 6'8" and that can guard multiple positions, that's kind of what that league has turned into. And I think he has a chance to be an elite guy like that, an elite blue guy.
Jeff, your young big man has another big test against Baycott with Fetty. He's had some other challenges already with good front court matchups. How have you seen him grow into the player and the person he is since he arrived on campus?
Well, he's grown a lot. I still go back and say I wish we could have had him this summer, but we didn't. He loves the process of working. He's not afraid of it. He shows up every day. He's got a really good attitude. He does extra. He doesn't shy away from that. He's not in a hurry to get out of here after practice or anything like that. He's usually early. Not usually. He's always early. He's usually late, stays late. And when you work like that, man, normally good things happen. This will be probably the biggest challenge because this will be the best guy he's played against. And this is different because this is a guy they play through. And a guy that's had a lot of success in this league. So he's earned a favorable whistle. But he doesn't have to do it by himself. We have to help him with it. Everyone has to do that. We have to collectively defend Baycott and Carolina. It can't be just a one guy thing. But he's grown a lot. He's gotten more confident, and we're going to need him to continue to be good for us.
Who do you consider your glue guy, or maybe other coaches might consider, but you think somebody else would consider yours?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I think you got to be careful with your own guys saying it because they could get offended by it.
You mean it as a compliment, but they could take it the wrong way.
Exactly. It's interesting, man. You say things to young guys now, and they get offended. You compare them to guys, and these are guys that are pros, that are in the NBA, and yeah, you should emulate him. You should do this, and them and their families get offended by that, which is hard for me to understand because it's times a guy that's making, $12, $13 million. I tell a story all the time. One of my best friends is the general manager for New Orleans. And we talk all the time. We were teammates for 3 years. I mean, we are as close can be. And usually around the draft, we talk even more. And he'll call me to ask opinions and the guys we played against or guys I've seen live and things like that. And then one of my questions leading up is always like, who do you like? Like, tell me what you, and I remember this is a few years ago, and I remember talking to him, and I remember saying, who do you like? And he was telling me about their team. He's talking, and he says, we got guys that can score. Like, we got Brandon, we got Zion, we got, time they had Drew Holiday, they hadn't traded him yet. Guys can rebound. We got these guys, or whatever. Like, what I need is a guy that can, like, defend those guys. I need a guy that can defend like a Zion or Brandon, or can, kind of play. And the guy that I like that was in that particular draft, he won't be available for us. He'll be gone by then. He was like, but JC, like, I'd pay someone like $15 million a year to do that. You mean to tell me that's offensive? Like, you tell your team that, or you tell guys that you think could maybe fill that role and whatever, and they get offended by it. So it's interesting, man. So I don't know who my glue guy would be. I don't know.
But I wanted to ask, because you've talked to us before about being real with players, knowing how to be real in the right moments so you don't, say the wrong things that breaks up your relationship. But how do you be real about that point in this era of college, of just the culture of basketball?
Being real here has gotten me in trouble with some guys, to be completely honest with you.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, it probably has. And so I've had to learn, to maybe not be as real. You know, just to kind of keep it superficial and keep it here. You know, look, every kid's dream is to be a pro. I get, like, that was mine. Like, I get that. I don't think anyone really understands how hard it is. I mean, it's really, really hard. And you have to be exceptional. And you got to be you have to be all those things. You know, I tell our guys, I mean, I've been around a lot of them. A lot. Whether it was, you know, I had one when I was at VCU. I had a couple when I was at Oklahoma, obviously being a Duke, being around USA basketball. So when I see it, I can normally tell. I mean, I can see it. I can see a kid in high school and say, all right, like, this kid, as long as he doesn't get hurt or whatever. So you got to be, I just learned, man, I try to keep my stuff to myself with that and not get onto that, and just try to concentrate on how do you be a good player today? How do you be a good player right now? How do you do this? And try to just keep that stuff to myself, man. Maybe as they get a little bit older and mature and things like that, you can have those conversations with them, but it's a different time right now.
Thoughts on Blake earning co-player, ACC Player of the Week, and his development over the whole season?
Yeah, pretty cool, really awesome, happy for him. I think it's well deserved. He's played well. Obviously, had a great game at Syracuse, and we needed every second of it. You know, he's another one, man. He loves to work. Usually there very early. Not usually, always. Stays late, gets extra work in. Not afraid of the process. Unbelievable teammate. Unbelievable guy to be around. Those are two things I didn't know before we got him. I knew that he was a good guy, but again, he hadn't played in 2 years. And if I go by the way everyone judges people, then I maybe wouldn't have anyone on my team. And so, you know, he's been an unbelievable teammate. He's so much fun to be around because he's normally always in a good mood. Blake's a football player that plays basketball. And what I mean by that, most football players I know are really loud. Blake's very loud. He's full of personality. There's never really a dull moment around him. And he loves to compete. He loves to play basketball. He's so grateful to be a part of something and to be here and to have people that believe in him. And obviously the success has just made it even more special. All right, see you guys.
Thanks.